Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are exploring a really profound concept. Every single wealthy family out there, no matter how vast their resources are today, started with just one person. Literally, just one individual who decided to draw a line in the sand. Someone who earned, saved, and invested just a little bit more, taking those calculated risks that nobody else in their lineage could afford to take. We call this person the architect. I mean, have you ever actually stopped to consider how one person can completely change the future for people who haven't even been born yet? It's kind of a staggering thought when you really sit with it. When that one person breaks the mold, they don't just upgrade their own immediate comfort. No, they literally alter the entire trajectory of their unborn descendants. The earning, the saving, the investing that we do today, it echoes across time. Section 1. The myth of individual wealth. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand this architect concept, we absolutely have to shatter this massive cultural illusion we have about wealth. Culturally, we falsely imagine wealth as this purely personal achievement, right? Like a dramatically bigger house, flashy sports cars, or just hoarding cash and individual isolated bank accounts. But honestly, that's a mirage. The reality is that true, lasting stability rarely stays with just one single person. It's fluid. It moves deliberately downward from a grandparent to a parent to a child. It is a multi-generational relay race, folks, definitely not a solo sprint. Section 2. The first generation's burden. Let's be totally real for a second and ground ourselves in reality. Starting that relay race, it is grueling. If you are trying to be the architect for your family, you likely have no established industry connections. There is no secret inheritance waiting in the wings for you, and absolutely no formal financial education handed to you in school. And most importantly, zero safety net. You are out there pushing a giant rock uphill, building entirely from scratch because there is literally no floor beneath you to catch you if you fall. Section 3. What wealth actually buys. But, that massive struggle, it has a profound payoff. When you finally break through, what's the very first sign of wealth? Most people think it's a luxury item, like a fancy watch or something. It's not. The very first thing true wealth buys you is the fundamental, life-altering power of options. So, the crucial point is that these options fundamentally change the entire landscape of choices available to a family. We're talking about access to better education for the next generation, better healthcare without the gut-wrenching stress of medical bankruptcy, opportunities to take calculated risks without the constant fear of utter ruin, and above all else, it buys you time. You're essentially buying your family's freedom from that exhausting day-to-day survival mode. Section 4. The generational compounding effect. Now we're getting into the really exciting part. This newly bought freedom kicks off the single most important concept in this entire explainer: $50,000. Now, it's just an example, but think of this specific number as the initial spark. It's that vital, crucial seed that Generation 1 painstakingly saves up to kick off the whole cycle and get that hard-fought breathing room. Let's move to and see how this builds across time, because it's honestly incredible. Generation 1 does the heavy lifting to save that 50 grand. Now, because of that initial sacrifice, Generation 2 doesn't start at zero. They start with support. Maybe they can take an unpaid internship that leads to an amazing career or get a tiny bit of help with a home down payment. Thanks to that stability, Generation 3 takes an even bigger swing and starts a family business. By Generation 4, they own real, compounding assets. That single initial spark by the architect literally ignited a bonfire of multi-generational opportunity. And this brilliantly illustrates the raw math of it all. Just look at the stark contrast between these two paths. In Family A, generation after generation is forced to restart at zero. Zero to zero to zero. It's tough. But in Family B, that initial $50,000 compounds into $250,000 for the next generation, then $1 million, then $5 million. The math of compounding is just relentless. When a family doesn't have to restart from absolute zero every single time, their exponential growth is just staggering. But we really have to ask ourselves, with genuine empathy here, why do so many families stay stuck, like Family A? And to be very clear, it is absolutely not because they're lazy. They are working incredibly hard. They stay stuck because every single generation keeps hitting a systemic reset button. A single medical emergency completely wipes out their savings. High-interest bad debt erases years of progress. Nobody ever gets quite far enough ahead to confidently pass the baton before life strikes. They're just trapped in a constant cycle of starting over. Section 5. Rewriting your family tree. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the hidden layer to it all. There is a way out of that trap. But check out this surprising fact. 70% of wealthy families actually lose their wealth by the second generation. Crazy, right? Why? Because creating money is literally only half the battle. The hidden superpower of that first architect is what they create alongside the money, the knowledge, the habits, the expectations. Their children grow up actually seeing what investing looks like on a random Tuesday morning. They see businesses being built at the kitchen table. Passing down this compounding mindset, that is the true invisible inheritance that sustains wealth across time. Which brings us right to our core thesis for today. The first rich person in a family isn't a game changer simply because they accumulated a high net worth. No, they are profoundly important because of this one fact. Future generations will never, ever have to start where they started. It literally just takes one person to escape the cycle, completely redirecting the options and the ultimate destiny of the entire family tree.
So I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one final provocative question. Are you going to be that one person for your family tree? Are you ready to step up and be the architect? Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this structured look at generational wealth empowers you to think deeply about the foundational habits and assets you are building right now, today. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and remember, it all starts with one person.